This is a server side validation. Now I'll write some username, MTT. I'll say create. Now you can see that there is no validation message on this field. In the same way, I can validate all the fields. So I have even that class ready with me. I'll simply delete this class and I will drag drop this, and you can see required validation on all the fields. Save this and execute. I also need the messages for all the fields, so even that is ready with messages for all the fields. So the complete body tag, I'll simply remove this body tag and I'll drag drop body tag with all the validation messages and execute this. If I say create, you can see that it is validating all the fields. Now I want to perform a compare validation between password and confirm password. That means I need to validate confirm password and I should compare it with password. So again I can go for the property confirm password, and above this property I can write as compare, and I'll name that property is password. So I'm going to compare it with password, and my error message would be, or I need not to give any error message, it will take default. So this is your compare validator. In the same way, here I want to apply some range validation on expected CTC. I say that it should be between 8 to 12. So I'll go for range and minimum value 8 and maximum value 12. That's it. It's your range validation. And for email address, I require an email validator. I'll simply write email address. That's it. And for URL, I need a validation, so I simply write URL. That's it. So now let's execute this and check. Say create. Should see that this is what your required field validation. I'll go for password. I'll write ty, here I'll write tyu. I'll say create. It is validating password and confirm password, and it says that they do not match. In the same way, email address and URL and my expected CTC, and here you will find a surprising message for email. Let us see. I'll just say create. Now you can see that please include @ in the email address. So email is invalid and it is giving us some beautiful message. Actually, this is the feature of HTML5. Now if I say right click and inspect element, you can see that this is an input tag with type as email. So this is the feature of HTML5, and you can also see doc type HTML. So this is HTML5 feature. So HTML5 is handling that. Even though we do it, HTML5 is taking care. Even for URL, HTML5 is taking care. I'll say create. Now you can see this expected CTC must be between 8 and 12, or you can give your own message as well. Now let us try to change this qualification to a drop down list and perform same validation, required field validation. So to do that, I need a list of items. So in this index, I'll just go and add a select list item. So I have a list of select list item, and I'm adding few values like BTech, MTech, MCA, PhD. By default it is empty, which is selected as true, and I'm adding it to view bag, qualification view bag items. I'm adding it to view bag, and I'm going for this index view, and here I need to replace this qualification editor for with drop down list. So I have that code available with me. I'll drag and drop. You can see that I'm using drop down list for validation, and I'm just trying to typecast viewbag.qualifications data to list of selected items. That's it. I'll save this. Now let me execute. Should find a beautiful drop down list. Say create, right click and say refactor, extract method, and limit as get qualification in view bag. Okay, now whenever I say create, as we know that the life of view bag is only a single cycle, so whenever I say create, I need to again fill that view bag. I'll save everything and I'll execute this. I'll say create. You can see that it is even validating qualification. I'll select this. Now you can see it is not giving any validation message for qualification. That means it is valid now. So this is how you can work with drop down list. Same in the same sense, I can also replace gender with radio button list. So I'll go for index, and I'll replace editor for gender with my radio button list. Radio buttons, I have two radio buttons with male and female. Both of them I'm binding to the gender. Let me execute this. Now I'll say create. It is validating even gender. But if you observe this, every time whenever I say create, it is reloading the page. So this is server side validation. If I want client side validation, how do I do that? To perform client side validation, you need to add 3 files, or you can say 3 JavaScript files or JS files. So what are those files? In scripts, should find jQuery. First of all, I'll go for jQuery file. In the head tag, next I should go for jQuery validation, and finally I should go for validation unobtrusive. That's it. Now it should perform client side validation. That means it should not make any postbacks. Do you find any postback? No. If I write this, you see this. So these are all client side validation. So now I have both validations, client side as well as server side. Expected CTC, mind is valid. This is an invalid email address. Now you can see this our validation working. This is valid. Invalid URL, even now our validation is working. Validation required for this. Here I will say yes. Now all the things should be fine. If I say create, it should take me to the create index. So this is all about your validation, client side as well as server side validations. If you want to explore more, so you can go for this URL for more. You have system.componentModel.data annotations, where you can get all the validations, like you can validate for data type, you can validate for display name, you can validate for many more things. If there is a model which is generated from entity framework, that is entity data model, how do we perform validation? And that is what we need in your real time. What we do in our real time, we have a database, and from database we have generated entity data model, and now I need to validate that model. So how to perform these validations on entity data model, we will see in our next video. Thank you very much.